Hey everyone, welcome back. It is really cold outside, and I thought it's a perfect day because it's so clear to do a camera comparison test between the Canon R6 and the new iPhone 14 Pro Max. Well, it's not really new, it's been out a couple months now. But yeah, let's just go ahead and do a camera comparison test. I'm gonna go around at about Dundee, take some pictures, and then I'm gonna go back to my office and compare them side by side. And I just really want to see if it stacks up because the ProRAW in this guy with the 48 megapixel main sensor is just phenomenal. And the Canon R6 is obviously a full frame mirrorless camera, also phenomenal. So yeah, let's just go out and about in Dundee and compare these cameras. So I already got a really nice photo up at the top there of the palm trees with this little like house hut thing they have. I don't really know how to explain it, but you'll see when I look back at the pictures. And now I'm walking down this really big staircase, and I think this will be a perfect shot just to take a picture of the staircase because it's just super long, kind of straight-ish. I just think it'll be a good picture. I don't really need an explanation. I just think it will look pretty good. Yeah. And sun has just come up. I've just missed sunrise slightly, but there's clouds there anyway, so I'm not really that bothered. So I'm maybe going to try take some pictures with the sun just to kind of test the dynamic range. Most days it's really cloudy here, so there really isn't any sun to capture, so I'm kind of glad there is a little bit of sun today. I'll just show you. So yeah, not like a huge amount, but you know what, it will do. It's December in Scotland, so I'm surprised I saw the sun this year. I just snapped a picture of this building as well. It's just some office blocks, but it looks really funky. The fact that it's like yellow and black, it contrasts really nicely. And down, the sky looks really good behind it as well. So yeah, I think that's gonna be a really nice shot right there. But now I'm just on my way down to the riverfront. I normally go down there to shoot loads of pictures because it's the most modern, nice looking part of Dundee. And yeah, I just have a thing for water. I just really like water. Yeah. So let's go ahead and shoot some pictures down there, and I'll catch up with you guys later. I swear it's when you stop and you look at those insignificant things where you find the best shots. There was just a little gap here and I was like, you know what, should I stop? No, I'm not gonna stop. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stop. And I saw there's a train there just peeking out of that bush. And with the sun in the background, this made a perfect shot, and I think it's turned out really good. Boy, so yeah, I'm having fun shooting with the iPhone 14 Pro Max camera. I did the same test with my Pixel 6a, but the iPhone 14 just has so much better dynamic range. And I think this shot of the fountains is going to turn out pretty good. For my finale shot, my last one of the day is of this wheel. Well, it might not be, because I might be going to Edinburgh Market, so I might get better pictures there. But screw it, let's just take the last picture in Dundee of the day of this wheel. Boom. So it's the next day now. I was just a little bit too tired yesterday to actually finish the video because I woke up so early. And I've gone through all the photos, I've edited them because obviously they're raw files, and I've tried to get them pretty much like for like in terms of the colors and how they look. So I think it will be pretty challenging for you guys to actually guess which one is which. I am freezing cold, by the way. Like, boy, I said it was cold the other day. It's way colder today. I think it's like -6 outside. So definitely hot chocolate weather. But let's just go ahead and take a look at some of these photos. I'll put them on the screen so you guys can get a closer look. This is the first one up. So this is of this kind of small baby palm tree. And it really does test out the dynamic range because there's a lot of shadows in this tree here. And there's also a lot of bright areas in the background because of the clear sky. The image on the left is a little bit more flat, a little bit over sharpened, I would say. Maybe just a tad bit over sharpened, as you can see with these trees on the left. It's just looking a bit too sharp. Whereas on the right here, you can see they're a little bit blurred because they're in the background, and it's only really the foreground which is crisp and in focus. Yeah, personally, for me, I like the right image a little bit better, and the right image is the Canon R6. Let me know down below if you guessed right. I actually found that a pretty tricky comparison. Like, even when I got mixed up with the files myself, I was kind of like, which one is which? So I think a lot of these images will be super close. Let's jump to image number 2. So this right here is image number 2. You might remember me taking it. It's all these kind of offices that are inside these shipping containers. And honestly, yeah, it looks cool. It's very contrasty. There's the yellows, you have the sort of dark color of the shipping container, and then you have your highlights in the background with the sunrise, with the clouds. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and this really does test out the dynamic range. And I am like really surprised. I'm so surprised. The iPhone is on the right here. And as you can see, the iPhone actually exposed a little bit better for the sun in the background there. So on the Canon R6 photo, it's just a little bit overexposed. And I did try and bring the highlights down as well as the exposure in Lightroom, but somehow the iPhone actually managed to get a little bit better dynamic range. Now, apart from that, I would say there's a little bit over sharpening on the iPhone. You can kind of see it in these trees here. And if you were to zoom in, you're going to see it's just, yeah, a little bit over sharpened. Whereas on the Canon picture, it's just a little bit crisp, but clear at the same time without the over sharpening effect. So if you remember from the video earlier, this is where I shot that photo of the train through the gap in the bushes. And I feel like here I can definitely tell that the iPhone is the one on the left. And that's pretty much just because it all kind of looks like it's in focus. There is no sort of depth in this picture. So on the photo on the right from the Canon R6, the trees in the foreground are kind of blurred out because the focal point is on the train, which is where I wanted it to be. So there isn't much depth on the iPhone photo compared to the mirrorless camera. Obviously, you've got a bigger sensor and you've got the optics of an actual camera versus a smartphone camera. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't do a bad job. I definitely don't like how over sharpened these sort of trees are here. I really don't like that. It just looks over sharpened and kind of a bit blown out. So when zooming into these pictures, you'll see that the Canon has more detail. So the Canon only has 20 megapixel, which is the Canon R6 sensor, and the iPhone has 48 megapixel. So a lot of people are like, immediately the iPhone is better quality. But that's not always the case, because here this is a pretty well lit shot in the middle of the day, well, in the morning, and you can see there's a lot more noise on the iPhone shot, and there's less detail in those shadowed areas. So in the shadows here around the lights, these bolts right here, as you can see on the iPhone picture, you almost can't see them there. So definitely a lot more detail. Even this number here, 24, you can see it pretty clear on the Canon shot. And this little caution sign down here on the iPhone picture, yeah, you can't even see it down there. So Canon wins for detail, definitely. So here we have an image of one of the most famous ships in Dundee, which is a very historic ship. It's the Discovery ship. Looking at these two pictures, I think you guys can tell. I think we can tell which one is the smartphone. The smartphone picture is again on the left. And I think you can just tell because it's a little bit more hazy. There's a little bit of glare from the sun, and there's just over sharpening with all these little wires coming down on this sort of mass from the boat. They're just over sharpened and again, just super, super flat. There's not really any depth in the light on the front of the ship here. Whereas on the Canon picture, it looks almost like the ship is popping out. You definitely get more of a depth effect. This one here might be one of the closest ones. I actually posted a couple of these on Twitter and some people actually got them wrong. So that's always an interesting sign as to whether your camera is definitely worth more money than your phone when people actually mix them up. It makes you question, should I have spent $5,000 on that camera? But I think the answer is always yes, because with a camera you have more control. Even though two images may look the same in the odd occasion, using an actual camera allows you to take pictures in low light, long exposures. Obviously you can shoot video on it. You've got better autofocus, the ability to switch lenses. There's so much more to having a camera than just the output of the picture. Excellent dynamic range on both of these. The sky is correctly exposed. The shadow areas are correctly exposed. There isn't really any shadows that are crunched. And there's a lot of detail preserved throughout this whole image. In the water here, in all the little shadows down there. I would say, yeah, the only real difference looking at it is the focal length and sort of the haziness of the other side of the river. Other than that, pretty comparable image. I would say the iPhone kind of wins this one, honestly. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, every single time I record and I have this freaking light in my face, it makes me tear up and I look like I'm crying. I mean, inside I'm crying, you know, because I spent $5,000 on a camera that produces the same looking images as my smartphone. So, you know, a little bit sad, but No, for real, I'm actually not. I think the Canon definitely does win in a lot of these situations, and you know, part of my reasoning for buying this Canon R6 was because I also do video as well, and the video is not even comparable with smartphone video, so the camera still wins. This image right here is of this cathedral in the city center. I just had a really good vibe. I actually put my camera away, started walking down the street. I was like, you're done. You're done, Matt. You're not taking any more pictures today, because otherwise I'll just get obsessed and I'll never put the camera down. And then yeah, I saw the golden sort of sun shining through onto the side of this cathedral, and I was like, screw it. I'm gonna take my camera out and take another picture. So yeah, this was like one of my last pictures, I feel. I did take a couple more after this. But yeah, this is very, very obvious that the iPhone is on the left here. There's it doesn't really have like a vibe or a mood as much as the image on the right, which is the Canon image. There's just a lot more detail in the clock, in the tower, in the shadows down here. There's a lot more distortion in the iPhone image, whereas it's a little bit better on the Canon. Obviously, they're both wide, so you do have a little bit of distortion, but yeah, it's definitely more obvious on the iPhone. You've got some over sharpening in the trees down here. Not that much detail either in this kind of Christmas tree. I don't really like the image on the iPhone, to be honest. Like, if someone was to show me this, yeah, meh, it's okay. But if someone was to show me the Canon image, damn, that is a nice looking image right there. And I actually set this image as my lock screen wallpaper. I'll pop it up on the screen just to show you how it looks with iOS 16 lock screen. Oh, it looks so good. But yeah, loving the image on the Canon. Canon wins for that one, 100%. And now let's jump to the last image. So, which one is the iPhone? I actually don't know. Oh, it's this one. Okay, so the iPhone is on the left here. Both very similar. So the iPhone loses a little bit of detail in the sky here because it misses out. There is actually a few little clouds, a little bit of mist that isn't on the iPhone image. And same goes for sort of the shadows here and the detail underneath the staircase. Doesn't really preserve it too great on the iPhone. Whereas on the Canon, yeah, there's a lot of detail in those shadows right there. You can see all like the rust and all the little details. Whereas on the iPhone image, doesn't really look like much. You can't really see anything there. So yeah, Canon has a lot more detail, especially in this sort of brickwork, the lights. Yeah, I mean, Canon just kind of wins, honestly. But again, if you're going to post this on social media and someone's going to look at it for 2 seconds, yeah, they're probably not going to notice that you spent $5,000 to achieve this image over this image from your smartphone in your pocket. So yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been pretty fun going out, testing these cameras, actually seeing just how close they are, because you don't really know until you take the exact picture on both devices, because you can't really compare them when they're just different images you're comparing side by side. So yeah, it's been an interesting experience for me. I'm going to do more videos like this. If you want to see any specific videos from me about the Canon R6 or the iPhone camera, let me know in the comment section down below. But anyway, guys, I will see you later. Peace.